Hi everyone, thank you so much for being here. My name is Lee Perry and this is my home. I am doing a walking tour with you today because I just moved into this house. I was a recipient of my grandmother's inheritance after she passed, and I wanted to share her legacy by buying a home and helping people learn what she loved to do, which is gardening and doing responsible things for the earth. And so I am doing this video blog of kind of a transition of taking the average home, the average Florida American home with a front and backyard nestled on this little kind of man-made retention pond / lake area, and converting it into a beautiful place that has lots of produce and biodiversity. And I'm going to take you on this journey with me to encourage you all to do the right thing by your land that you might own or might be a steward of. And so I'm super excited to take you on a little tour, and this will be an ongoing educational opportunity for you and for me because I'm learning every day. And I feel like a lot of people are discouraged because they're afraid of how expensive certain things are. It's challenging to do something outside of the norm. It's challenging to experiment because of the fear of wasting time or energy or money. And so I'm hoping to be a pioneer of new things, new ideas, new experiments, and documenting those things with you so that you can feel like you can, do these practices in your own home as well. So, welcome to my home. The vision is that we hope to make this a learning hub and grow lots of food, make it a visual representation of some of the goals that I'm personally trying to champion through all the social media channels and volunteer groups that I have, but also local policy-wise, we are trying to encourage our local government to look at our code and try and find ways to make things like this, like transforming your lawns into an edible garden, or using less water and using less waste. And we're trying to champion policy to do that. So I'm super excited to live by example and bring you on this journey with me. So let's first take a look at the house. So this is the first home that I've ever owned. It's been a long personal journey from coming from very little and then making it to a place where I can afford to buy a house myself. I live here with my partner Ernest, and we are so excited to hopefully one day adopt a child and bring a child to this home. But we are really trying to use this as an example for how we can be better for ourselves and for our future too. We want to do more energy efficiency upgrades to the house and take you on that journey, and eventually get solar and transition our water usage so that we can collect rainwater and try to be off the grid as much as possible. And I know a lot of people hear that word off the grid and it can mean different things, but right now we're using a lot of public services that we want to encourage people to try and use only as a backup, and find a way to use our natural resources that we have right here and not let things go to waste. So don't irrigate your lawns or collect your rainwater, as just one example for how you can do this. One thing I'm really proud of, for those of you who know me, who have come to my home before, I love finding trash finds or buying things from Facebook Marketplace or secondhand items. And so I'm proud to destigmatize trash. I always talk to people about how I found so much off the side of the road, and now I want to take you on a quick journey to show you to what extent I find things on the side of the road. So our kitchen table here, this was a trash find. A couple was moving into a smaller place and they actually were throwing this beautiful table away. These chairs we got for like 20 to 50 bucks off of Facebook Marketplace. My Couches, same thing. Both couches were only $100 for both, off of Facebook Marketplace. Lots of the decor, the picture frames, the rug, all from the trash. Much of the furniture is even secondhand, or just straight up trash finds. So we're super excited to encourage people to take something like this dresser here that I found and trying to paint it, make it feel like a piece of your home. And now that is one item that's not in the landfill, just taking up space and putting out carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide into our atmosphere. We'll do a quick little tour out here. Welcome. And so it's a little dark, but pretty much everything that you see here is from the trash as well, which is really great. Or, gifts that people wanted to get rid of, and so they gifted them to me. Sorry for all the dog toys, but we try to encourage people to, think outside the box. These here are these benches made from cushions that we found in the trash and wood that was used as the doors to our closets. Someone threw away this beautiful bench, so we just painted it white, and now it's a really nice little bench. These chairs were on the side of the road. Lots of the plants that I have around were also kind of thrown on the side of the road, and I'm trying to resuscitate them back to health. And we can go outside, take a little journey outside. So, the first thing that I had to do, and mind you, I'm trying to kill the grass. I have a lot of tarps out, but that's going to be a whole other video. One of the biggest things that I try to do here is, day one, assess the property and really try to take a look at what is already here. So I walked the property and I saw a lot of native plants. I saw a lot of trees that some were edible, some provided a lot of shade. I looked at the soil quality and I saw, a lot of sandy soil in some places that was very dry, and lots of rich, kind of more moist soil. So that was actually on the first day that I toured the house, was I was assessing, kind of what is at my disposal here. And, now, I'm putting down cardboard and tarps, and I'll be adding more, so it kind of looks messy. We just had a storm. But I'm going to be transitioning this area into a very large farmlet. It's going to be a big edible landscape. And we're going to be adding some trees and really looking at how we can have some of our more, accessible herbs and things very close to the kitchen in the front. And then we're going to have kind of the more staple crops towards the back with a fire pit. And I'm really excited to kind of share the vision so that you all can see how someone with a very busy schedule can incorporate these practices in their everyday life. Of course, I also looked at what animals were around. There's lots of different species of birds here, and raccoons and possums. So along the side of the house and along the outskirts of the property, we're going to be adding a lot of different types of berries and flowering plants for our animals and insects that really rely on nectar, and planning out the plants based on their seeding, flowering schedules, so that there can be nectar and berries available throughout the year at different times. Because when you have a property that you just completely mass grade and remove all of the plants, what ends up happening is you leave nothing behind. And if you just replace sod, sod has its purpose in some places, but what really relies on grass to survive? Not very many things. So we want to restore, to a certain extent, the places in which, we otherwise inhabit and take over and control, and be better stewards to the biodiverse, creatures that live here that need us to give back to them. So lots of fruit trees, lots of fruiting bushes, lots of native plants, And of course they're beautiful, so it's also better because of just aesthetics. We'll also be adding, this area is really great, nice and shady, so I'm looking at adding a chicken coop so that we can take care of some chickens. Chickens give you this really great base for your compost, and so I love having chickens. There's a huge, beautiful butterfly flying right over us right now. So pretty. So gorgeous. And so chickens are really great because you can always have their poop that you can mix into your compost and make a beautiful, rich tea to feed your plants. I'd say probably the most intimidating thing for me with growing produce at the level that we're going to be growing, the most intimidating thing is that your plants are going to be so hungry for nutrients, and store-bought nutrients are very expensive. And of course, you're going to have a budget to buy seeds at first, and then I'll teach people how to save their seeds. It's very expensive to have to go to the store and consistently buy soil amendments and consistently buy pesticides. We're going to try to educate people on how to do those things naturally so that you don't have to incur that expense. There are some things that you should definitely buy because it's good to have them on hand in case of emergencies, like neem oil, but for the most part there are other natural pesticides that plants can do that same purpose of deterring pests. So we want to educate people on how to make their own fertilizers and pesticides. Obviously composting too. So this is just the start of my compost section. I have a lot more composting dreams in mind, but you really want to take care of all of our friends, including the worms and the insects. Look at that. Wow. Everybody's home. You really want to, take the time to give some food and some leaves to make the nice carbon and nitrogen mixture, and then have our worms and our, grubs and our soldier flies and all the things that make this really rich, really beautiful worm casting byproduct. I mean, look at that. That is so rich. And then you can literally pour water here and make a compost tea that you can feed your plants with, which is really great. And then your chicken scraps don't have to go to the landfill, which is the ultimate goal. You want to have a closed loop so that you can consistently, grow food and then have a place to put the food that you don't eat, or nothing goes to waste, basically. Over here, so this is going to be, I'm going to put a shed over here so that we can have storage, especially some nice dry, cool storage for things that have a shelf life that you might want to store in bulk. So that'll be really exciting. We're going to be adding a wall of Mexican sunflower, which I'm really excited about because Mexican sunflower has so many purposes. Not only does it have these really nice woody stems that you basically can turn into biochar or use to create trellising like bamboo, but you also have leaves that have really high concentrations of nitrogen and vitamins to feed your soil, so you can use it as part of your compost as well. And then the sunflowers themselves get so big and so beautiful, and the native butterflies and bees are so attracted to them. So it's just an all-around incredible plant that is really good for your soil, really good for the biodiversity in your community, and also it's just really beautiful too. So let's keep walking here. All right. As you can tell, there's a lot of growth, and so we're going to cut all this back some of these species are not native, but that's okay. We will be finding a home for some of the plants and even bringing some of the plants inside. I really enjoy bringing any plants that I don't feel are the best for the garden. I like bringing them inside because then it helps improve my air quality inside of the home, which is really great. So here's our front yard, and as you can tell, there's this giant bush of muscadine grape that's taken over our crepe myrtle here. And crepe myrtles are beautiful and they attract some pollinators, but you know, it's not the only thing that you can grow in your yard. It just seems to be very easy to grow and drought tolerant, so people use it traditionally in landscaping here in Florida. The muscadine grape is it's native, but it's invasive because it takes over things. So we're going to trellis that and get some really beautiful grapes that we can eat and share with our raccoon friends that love berries. So we're excited for that. So right off the bat, I could tell that there used to be an irrigation system here, and it just kind of fell by the wayside through the years. So we're going to be redoing the irrigation and finding a way to use as little water as possible and try to install rain barrels so that we can use, you know, the water coming off of our roofs for things that we're not going to eat, because sometimes you can have trace metals and things like that in the rainwater that you collect from the roof. But you can use it for the native gardens and for some of your trees that, you know, can still be watered responsibly. But we will be hooking up irrigation for our edible gardens, and so this entire property we hope to completely transition into a large farm here as well. And I'm really excited about that because, you know, being on the front yard, I think it helps invite and encourage other people from the community to come out and learn with you and garden with you, and hopefully I'll make a lot of friends in my community. So one of the first things I had to do was, you know, you can see there's like a line where you can see a difference in elevation here. That's where the water pipe is. So you want to make sure you are looking at where your electrical lines are and where your water pipe is, so that you can avoid planting things with deep roots anywhere near your piping system, because that can cause a lot of problems long term. So unfortunately, when we first got the house, the pipes kind of started to rip apart. They were the original Orangeburg material from when we first moved in, and as much as that felt like a curse at the time, it was also a blessing because we were able to really clearly distinguish where the water lines were. And now we can, you know, use different types of landscaping methods to avoid anyone growing anything near that piece of property. And then of course we have this giant beautiful magnolia tree that looks a little sick. It looks like it needs to be cut back a little bit and fed. So we're excited to give it a little bit of nutrients and trim it, and hopefully it'll become home to a lot more birds and animals. So this is the front area here where my car currently is. We hope to create a large trellis for the grapes to grow, which will provide shade, and we also hope to paint the house white so that we can actually help keep the house cool. We are planning on educating people about different types of paint that you can use that actually helps to deflect some of the radiation from the sun and keep your home cool. So that's one method of, you know, saving energy and doing what's right by the earth by not consuming so much electricity. Here in the front, we have our, you know, little garden area. I literally just stuck all of this in the ground with some mulch and some cardboard when we first moved in. So you have, moringa and lemongrass, and these are all cuttings that I got from, around the neighborhood and in my previous house. And you would really be surprised to see how much, you can grow from just cuttings from someone else's house. It's really remarkable because you can feed yourself off of these plants and survive with these plants. And food resiliency and sovereignty is exactly what we're trying to do here and educate. So we have lots of flowering plants. I'm always collecting some of these plastic containers off the side of the road. People throw away pots and things like that. And so we're excited to save all that plastic from going in the landfill or our waterways by saving some of those pots from the side of the road or from nurseries. We got some cuttings of some flowers, yucca, chaya, lots of the fun staple foods, and Cuban oregano, different types of spinach, tropical spinaches, and aloe, which is kind of a really great tool for you to use for fertilizers as well. So we'll educate you more on that as well. And then we have our compost pile. We just got this today. So excited. There's a company that is starting to do biochar and use different types of substrate materials as the base of their compost. And so we'll be teaching you on how to actually make your own biochar. But it's nice to find a company for the first time in my entire career that makes their own biochar and has different types of mulch and makes their own compost. So I'm really excited to promote their company and educate you on how to make your own compost to supplement whatever you have the ability to buy. Not everyone's going to have the ability to buy compost. So, we want to show people how much we spent and then how much you could save if you don't have that type of budget, and what you could do for both scenarios. So we'll be educating everyone in that regard. So yeah, and last but not least, we hope to get solar on top of the roof and use that opportunity to educate people on what the solar industry is looking like now and what workforce development opportunities are going to be there. I didn't mention the lake in the back. It actually is a lake and not a man-made retention pond, so we'll be doing a video on how to properly maintain and rejuvenate your lakes. Lots of invasive species removal and educating people on why those invasive species are not good to have, but then replanting them with natives and adding fish and hopefully mollusks eventually as well to combat the algae and the mosquito problem. So there's so much. Everywhere is a classroom, and so we're gonna have this entire property to share with you as an education opportunity. So I'm so excited, and I will drop links for you to learn more about a lot of these tools that I'm talking about in the comments. And then in return, I really welcome all of your questions, and I look forward to engaging with you even more so. So thank you so much, and stay tuned for this awesome transition of this average home that I hope you will invite others to do as well. Bye.